Welcome to the Semi-Sages of the Pages First Page Critiques. Woohoo! My name's Teresa,
I'm Morgan.
This is Molly.
and we are here today reading your first pages. Super excited. This one is a mystery thriller, but before we do that, we want to tell you about our method. We use the even better if method, which means that we talk about what is working well with your story, and then we just give you a couple little suggestions just to make it a little bit better. Okay? So, anything else to add?
You're
Buckle up
awesome.
because this is going to be fun because our
It
authors are
is.
awesome.
It's gonna be fun. And if you like this, don't forget to like and subscribe. Super important. It helps build our channel. Okay, here we go. So we are reading Pick Your Poison. And for those of you who are new to this, you know I get really into doing readings because I got a bit of a theater background.
I thought you were
So,
going to say that you're really into poison. And I was like,
I did
well,
too. I was like, that's why I've been
shh,
feeling weird
that's a
lately.
secret.
oh, sorry. Never mind.
Okay, here we go. So this is Pick Your Poison. Chapter 1, Rising Above the Hellscape. Jasper Cruz couldn't unsee the nightclub as a landscape from hell. The crowds writhing in pain rather than revelry. Bodies piled up from dance floor to balcony to catwalk. Flashing lights may as well have been fiery plumes, the smoke forming a darkened backdrop. And the DJ perched on the stage like Satan himself, presiding over their collective punishment. The thumping bass he delivered vibrated Jasper's sternum like a subwoofer. An omen of some kind, maybe, as if every beat kept warning him, you shouldn't be here, until it broke through his skull. He stood as still as a statue with his back pressed against the wall. The beer in the plastic cup he held grew warm. He absorbed all the stimuli assaulting him, trying to discern if his unease came from his own preferences or from Pastor Will's programming. Because this wasn't Jasper's scene. It was too loud, too dark, too strange. But how would he know for certain? He'd never been to a club before. He'd been told it wasn't his scene, mostly from his parents, Pastor Will, and the youth group kids from his church back in the day. But at 21, Jasper figured he shouldn't make decisions from secondhand knowledge anymore. He was old enough for firsthand experience. Maybe too old for some of these first times. Didn't mean he had to run wild right away. He used the beer more for a prop to blend in rather than to drink. If it weren't for the office clothes he wore, he did come straight from work. Jasper might have pulled it off. Who am I kidding? Jasper thought. I could have worn the slickest outfit and I still would be out of place here. Ooh, that's
Very,
fun.
very relatable.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. I
I
love the thumping bass that vibrates the sternum. I know exactly that feeling when you're like, this can't be good for my body.
or like how the beer gets warm and you're like, have I been standing here this long or am I just really sweaty? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
The details were amazing. I think this idea of a club being a hellscape allowed for but like really set a nice turn for the like religious like programming, but also could have gone the way of fantasy. So it was kind of a nice tease. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think there's something really interesting and special here. The way that the author starts this scene in a nightclub, but not in a stereotypical nightclub way, right? This way that it is push and pull between the narrators, does he not like it because he doesn't like it or because he's been programmed to not like it? Is he socially awkward or is it really awful there? And all this stuff and the layers that this author pulls in, I think are really special and interesting. And I like it a lot.
Yeah. I agree too. And I really like the toggling, the internal voice and the toggling between like, I wanted to try this. I'm not sure I like it, but I really wanted to try it. And kind of not quite anxiety, but the internal voice that's just kind of chattering at you. And you're like, maybe if I'd come in better clothes. Nah, who am I kidding? That wouldn't have changed anything. It was really well done.
I really like, because I can relate to this in a really personal way. I really like the main character not knowing if they've been programmed what's theirs and what's not theirs, and feeling like because their true feelings were taken away from them at such a young age because they were always told what to feel, what was good and bad, and never allowed to feel for themselves, that you end up reaching adulthood not knowing, not trusting yourself, feeling like you can't discern, feeling like you don't know if you've just been lied to again or confused again. And I just could relate to that so deeply. I definitely want to read this piece because I felt very seen.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that is a huge gift. I just want to say, as an author, that is a huge gift you can give to a reader. When a reader takes a book and feels like, oh my gosh, this author gets me, this character gets me, gets what happened to me, my internal voices and everything. So yeah, I want to really honor that.
And I just love it. I love the sense of betrayal. What is good? What is evil? What is the devil? What is yours to feel? What have you been programmed to feel? I just love the depth.
It's beautiful. All right. Now we go on to our even better if. What do you guys think?
I think for me, my even better if is not necessarily on this page. That sounds weird. Trust me here. It is, as an author, you've set up so much here that I want to make sure that you execute on what you set up. So I want to make sure that all of this really detailed layers that you're coming in about identity and the background and, can I trust myself or not? And who am I? What do I actually like? What is me? Can I trust myself? Can I have my first times? Those kinds of themes I really hope continue through in the novel. So that's kind of my even better if, is because this is for me very, very strong. And I really love it and I want to see it continued. And sometimes I have noticed when I read first pages sometimes or first chapters, sometimes authors can promise one thing and then the story goes somewhere else. And I really hope that the story matches this. My other small one is I really would like the Jasper character to hopefully do something soon. Like, I think it's okay here on this page that he's not doing anything yet, right? He's just standing there. He's not interacting with anybody. He hasn't made any decisions yet. I think that's okay in this one. I think that's okay in this first page. But soon I would like to see him make a decision, do something. And maybe that's on, the next chapter, or sorry, not the next chapter. Maybe it's like literally one line next. But yeah, those are kind of my expectations for where this book leads me.
Good. That's good advice. Morgan?
I'm going to do a tiny nitpick on this. I think there's a sentence that could do more that is causing unnecessary confusion. And for me, it's the bodies pile up. So this idea of the bodies piling, I think it's the bodies pile up the floor and onto the balcony and the catwalk. Is that how it's phrased? Let me see.
Bodies piled up from dance floor to balcony to catwalk.
Yeah, I think
There's also a typo in the line right before.
that's such an image about piled like this. And so it's set, you're in a hell, it starts out, you can't unsee it as a hellscape. And then the bodies like physically piled creates such a visual image for me that they were all dead.
I thought that first too.
It took me a long time to pull out of that and then re-listen to the story in a new way. So in this instance, I think that it works against the author because there's so much depth in seeing it as a hellscape and seeing the bodies alive and moving and dancing, and I don't think hurts. Or if you're gonna go for the idea of the bodies being dead, let them be zombie-like or let them have some kind of demonic glow or something. But just the idea of them being so flat and piled up, it's such a passive kind of verb, and it also creates such an image that I don't think is true to the rest of the piece, that I think there's more that could be done in that sentence to take this even to a deeper level. And so it would just be just a small thing, but I think it could go a really long way.
Now that you mention it, I kind of agree with you, because all of the other descriptions in that paragraph are also related to movement and power and sound, like things moving, flashing lights, fiery plumes, crowds writhing, even the bass is thumping, vibrating. Like, it's all about the chaoticness of the scene. And yeah, I now that you've pointed it out, Morgan, I really think that that could elevate it even more.
Yeah, because if not, it's like, is there literally like I it took me a minute. I was like, is there literally a pile of dead bodies and they're dancing around them, like stacked up? And well, maybe,
It's hell. But
but I don't think it really
that's not that
is.
but that's not the intention, I
And
don't
so I
think.
think that's the problem, is it puts us a little outside the genre, I think.
Yeah. Mine is the second. I feel like the second paragraph needs some tightening, but I'm not quite sure if that's a voice issue. I would read more to get a better feel of the voice because it feels a little bit wordy. Um, and the sentence structure isn't quite right for me. But I also it might just be this is just the
Can
author's
you read a
voice.
couple of sentences
Yeah,
so we can hear it?
yeah, of course. Uh, he absorbed all the stimuli assaulting him, trying to discern if his unease came from his own preferences
Oh,
or from Pastor Will's programming
you know what
because
I
of
think it is?
the formal language.
Yeah, and it creates it. It actually, the way he uses third there goes from a close third to a distant third through the use of like, so then all of a sudden the verbs get very both verbose, and they're like, like you're saying, like they move up the academic ladder a little too much for the rest of it. But then also it creates a feeling of he's outside of himself, and then there's the distance.
Mm,
We as the reader are trying to get close to him.
because this wasn't Jasper's scene. Yeah. But how would he know for certain? Yeah, and there's something just not there's something it just doesn't feel quite right to me. But again, I need to get a better feel of this author to hone in to me for what it is.
If he's holding the beer and it's warm, that's close. It's a
Hmm.
tight third. But the sentence you just read about him observing, that's a more distant third. And so I think it's choosing to go for the tighter third.
Mm.
Okay.
See,
Maybe.
I don't know that I agree that I think it's still tight third. He absorbed all the stimuli assaulting him, trying to discern if his unease came from it. I think that's still tight. I think just the like when you use the word absorbed and stimuli, that does
And
something.
preferences.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
that does I think that that causes that same sort of distance, but I interpret it as it was the character trying to create distance between himself and his own thoughts in the situation he was in.
Oh,
I love
that's a
that.
good
That's a
point.
Like
brilliant interpretation. Ooh.
that's what I thought it was. It was this like character in an uncomfortable situation trying to mentally step away and take himself out of it. Um
Mm. And this line here, but at 29, Jasper figured he shouldn't make decisions from secondhand knowledge. Again, that's the
Love
pull
that.
away again.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying,
Interesting.
Molly, as using it intentionally. That's really brilliant.
mm.
I'm
I
not, yeah, I like that.
I do agree, like, usually people don't think about their own name in their own head, right? Because this wasn't Jasper's scene, but at 29, Jasper figured, like, usually that is an indication of a further away POV, right?
Hmm.
Of a narrator that is not Jasper talking. So I am at those times like a little confused if it's Jasper referring to himself
Or if
or
there's
if
an
it's a
outside
third outside
narrator.
narrator. But it's not at this point a make or break for me because I will just assume I will figure it out later in the book. But I do
Exactly.
agree, like when Morgan's talking about, are we close? Are we far? Are we a close third? Or do we have a secondary narrator? Those are moments where I question and I don't know.
But It's really good.
I want to keep reading. So if this is published somewhere, or let us know more in the comments. Thank you so much for submitting. This is really a cool piece. It was
Yeah,
really fun
thank
to read
you.
it.
Thank
Mhm.
you. And if you want to see your first page read here with us, don't forget to go to www.semisagesofthepages.com and you can submit your first page there. Like and subscribe here so we keep doing this because we love helping you guys out. And hopefully,
Takes
we have
are
fun.
amazing. So fun.
Yeah. Join us on our Discord. We're there all the time. It continues to grow. It is a great place to meet other writers. So come hang out with us. We're fun.
We promise.
But don't come to our homes. Fair warning.
All right.
All right, go write. Take care. Bye.
I had to change twice because the first time I changed into a blue shirt, it turns out in this light at this time of day, if I turn into a blue shirt, I just look like a lobster. Like my skin is just bright red